Hello, I'm Robert, a voluntary fact checker and helping you if you're scared of many things. And this is to continue from my video that I did before about Discord's persona age verification experiment. And I talked about how the Discord normally uses a company called KID, which specializes in age verification, and it does very fast and it deletes everything very quickly. And you upload if you have to upload your photo ID, it's uploaded and then it's deleted within minutes. But for some reason, Discord decided they wanted to do a different experiment with Persona, and I talked there about where it's just slightly different, where the photo ID, they kept everything blurred except the photo and the date of birth. And then, so it's nothing else that Persona could look at. Got Persona to do all that. And then, based on that, it got a pass or fail whether you had that or not. And so I talked about all that now, and how they did it in a way that's very safe. I talked about that back there in the previous video. So this is people following on from there. We got people who were sharing tweets and blog posts and so on that said, now wait a minute, look at Persona. So there's nothing wrong with Persona, but I'll just express how it's presented in these tweets and things. And they say, but look, Persona has all these extra fields and options that you can ask for. So that's just, so the reason is because Persona actually does many different things at once, or many different things it can do. So it's very much like a Swiss Army knife. Persona is a big, huge program. And as an example, this video, when I finished uploading this video, when I finished recording this video, then I use a software called CapCut that all I use it for is to maximize the volume, because my voice sometimes goes a bit quieter in places. And the other thing I do is I reduce the resolution a bit because it's on a high resolution screen. And then I reduce the bitrate, and then it's much less time for it to upload onto my YouTube channel. That's what I use it for. But it could, for instance, put the transcript of my text on the video, for instance. It can reduce noise. It can do all sorts of things. I haven't even tried to look at all the things that it can do. It's got pages and pages of menus, but that's all I use it for. Well, it's very much the same with Discord and Persona. It's like this huge program, but the only thing that Discord needs it for is the photo and the date of birth. It doesn't want to see that itself. It just says to Persona, the only things you can look at are those two things, and then tell me, pass or fail, are they adult? So they're using this program that's got a vast number of capabilities only to find that very basic information. And so that's why it's nothing to worry about at all. And it's very much a trusted program, Persona. It's been used in all these different uses. For instance, it's used by employers to screen new employees. And of course you're going to have lots of things that you want to find out about this employee. And so you get the employee to submit their government ID. The employee expects you to do a due diligence type search to check that that their credentials are okay for your job. And there'll be some things legally you can do, other things legally you're not permitted to do, and Persona will do just what you're permitted to do. And similarly, screening for government employment, there'll be things that you absolutely have to do, and things that you mustn't do, and Persona will do all those things for you. Or screening students to accept a college, or fraud detection for new bank accounts. And this is a very simple one, DoorDash, and it needs a screen to check whether, it's very much like age verification, they just want to check, is the applicant old enough to drive, drive a scooter. And for that, they need to know which country or state that applicant is for, so that they can then check what is the law in that state and are they at the legal age. So Persona does all that for them. So they look at the ID and the ID tells them where they are, and then based on that they work out whether they, and all they get is pass or fail, they're old enough to drive a scooter. So that's what persona is. And you can see from all these are all the different ways it's used. This is from the Persona website, Click on Solutions. And these are the industries that use it. So it's widely used by a wide number of different industries. Under public sector, it gives a list of states that use it. So Persona is used by, let's go down here. Where is it? California, Ohio, Ontario, and West Virginia all use Persona. And this list of all the things it's used for. And then I just, because people shared this and made it seem like it was nefarious when it isn't, I'm just going to explain a little bit about how the application programming interface works. And so, with my background as a coder, I can sort of read this. It makes sense to me. So I can just explain a little bit how you'd use it. So this is when you go into your age verification, you click on the buttons, you upload your photo, whatever it is you do, then that's happening inside the program. And this is from the point of view of, say, Discord, or OpenAI, or the user of the program, and or the user of Persona. They will just say to Persona, find out if they're old enough, if they're adult or not, say. And they don't see a document ID, government ID at all, not directly. But there are all these fields that they could ask for. So this is an example. I think this would be someone who's applying for a job and you've got their first name, your last name, and their birth date. So they already told you when they were born. Then you would then have a standard set of fields. You go and look at the fields here, and it'll say, include things like whether you try to spoof your document ID, and it'll have all these details of as you would expect, your birth date, your address, because you'd expect to get that information if you're checking an employee, and the postal code, social security number, ID number, email address, phone number, and these are all legitimate things to ask if it's a new employee. But now, if you go and look here, it says you can set, so you don't get, OpenAI or Discord wouldn't get all that information. So, why return limited data? And it says amongst the various options to avoid personally identical information transfer. So, all that OpenAI is just Persona, Discord would just be asking pass or fail of the adult. OpenAI, I think OpenAI asks for the date of birth. I'm not sure. I'll double check that when we'll get to that a bit later in the video. And that's all they find out about them. And I don't think we'll find out what OpenAI asks for. Anyway, so that is your application programming information interface. And you've got all these fields that you could ask for. And if you look at all these fields that we had back here, the name, first name, last name, the address, social security number, and so on. Remember that Discord actually asked Persona to blur out all those fields. So that information will all be null. It can't get that information even if it asks for it, because it's all been blurred out before Persona even looked at it. So, and this is for the more advanced use. You can have a list of items, so you can supply Persona with a list of people who have got fraudulent government IDs, for instance. Then you have to supply information to Persona for it to do stuff like that, and then it could check against your list. So all sorts of things that Persona could do, but these age verification companies aren't doing that. And then another thing is that people start thinking, well, look, maybe you are just DoorDash and you're just using Persona to try and find if they're old enough to drive a scooter. But what if Persona was to say, look, this is a scooter driver in Minneapolis. Let's pass their information to ICE. Say, if maybe ICE is using Persona, I don't know if it does. That would be an utter scandal if any company did that. That they specialise in security. That's their providing security services. They do not make unauthorised use, some kind of backdoor in their program that would siphon out your information. All you want is to know is if they're old enough to drive a scooter, and you siphon out the information and give it to someone else. You can't do that. That's very illegal, and they probably end up in prison if they did something like that. So Persona has to keep all this information completely separate, paywall, sandbox from each other. It has to be just no leak. It can't permit leaks between the database. If it'll have databases for some of its clients. They must not be in any way be compromised. So the people who are talking about this, they're just making. It's like they're telling a story or something. They're making things up. It's coming out of their mind. It's not based on checking anything or understanding anything about what they're talking about. And there's been so much garbage that I've had to read, and part of the reason why this has taken so long to complete is because there's so much rubbish out there, and trying to find the actual details of what's really true. So hopefully I've managed to I've sifted it out, and I found out what the real truth is, and that's what I do, a voluntary fact checker. And so now let's just have a little look at how OpenAI uses Persona. So this is not actually what my debunk is about, but people do use OpenAI, so since we're here, we might as well talk about it. So OpenAI, that's for chatbots. And if you use the OpenAI chatbot, then it does give you a different experience whether you are using it as a child or using it as an adult, and gives you two different ways of doing it. It can predict your age based on how you interact with it, or it can get you to, or you can upload your ID and get OpenAI to check your ID. If you do that, then OpenAI handles that via Persona. And in that case, Persona gets all the fields from the ID, but that's just temporarily stored for 7 days. And OpenAI just retrieves your date of birth from it, and doesn't receive your ID or your selfie. It wouldn't receive any of the other fields. So OpenAI would have a response body here, and the only field it would ask for is the date of birth. So it would set it out to be a template it would set, and you probably start off with a template like this, and you just delete all the other fields, and all you've left is the date of birth, wherever it was. Birth date. So we just say birth date, and that's the only field that they would. So it'd be like this, but everything left out except the birth date, and then they'd have that as what you're asking for. So that's what Persona, that's what OpenAI does. And again, it would be not a scandal if OpenAI was to misuse it and get other information from you. OpenAI doesn't want that any more than you do. So that's why you can trust age verification, because it's very important for the companies that do that they do it in a privacy preserving way. So I think that this is most of what I want to talk about. Yeah. Any other questions? Be sure I'll just finish with that. So hopefully you can now get a much better understanding about how this all works. And I think already with the writing this debunk, then I think it's already helped. This video will just help a little bit more. So I've got one more video to do, and I'll do that next. Check, that'll be about what happens if you go all the way through and you're one of the very few that slip through and don't manage to get age verified. So I'll do one more video about that, and then that's, I think, pretty much done with a series of Discord videos. So do check the and then I'll do a final blog post with all of them in one go. So do check the video description, or this might be embedded in the page anyway. But if you come across this on YouTube, check the video description and you'll find a link to this blog post. Right, it's just short of 16 minutes. So I'll now do another video on the very last thing, which is about what happens if you for some reason or other you don't get through age verification, and what to do in that situation. So